of recruitment. Now we will be, plus we had discussed sources of recruitment. Under that, we had discussed the first source, that is the internal sources of recruitment. So internal source of recruitment means without giving an advertisement, when the organization is filling up the vacancies internally within the organization, that is called as internal sources of organization. Now we will move on to external sources of advertisement. Now, when the organization is unable to recruit the people from within the organization with the help of internal sources, then the organization has the option that they can rely on external sources of recruitment for recruiting the prospective employees for the organization. Now, under external sources of recruitment, first one and very common is called as advertisements. Advertisements, under that, using post box numbers. So earlier, this particular way of advertisement was very much used. Nowadays, it is very less used by the organization. Post box number. In the column which was allotted for advertisement, only thing mentioned was post box number. A number, 4-digit number used to be mentioned, and on that number the prospective candidate has to apply. The organization has to give the used to give the advertisement in the newspaper. They used to mention the qualifications required, experience required, name of the job, everything they used to mention. Only thing, they did not share the name of the company. In a reputed company, this vacant position, this vacancy is there, these many people are required, and the educational qualification and the other experiences are as per the following conditions. And at the end, they used to display or mention a post box number. Any eligible candidate, any candidate who wants to apply for this particular job has to send the application to this particular post box number, and automatically that application will be routed to the organization. So that was earlier. Nowadays, it is not in practice. Next one, engaging specialized agencies. Specialized agencies means that now, in our earlier lectures also, we had discussed that earlier it was thought that all the information which the organization is having is very secret. No information should go outside the organization, because if it goes outside the organization or if it reaches to the competitors, it will be harmful for the organization. But nowadays, that was the scenario earlier. Nowadays, nothing is secret. Nowadays, the organization has started segregating what information is confidential and what information is not so confidential. The information which is not so confidential, or the work processes which are not considered as the core work process of the organization, they can be outsourced by the organization. So outsourcing has taken, now it's a new trend that many organizations are outsourcing their various functions to other specialized agencies. Now, one of the specialized agency is called as placement agencies or consultancy firms. Now, the job of this placement agency is to first contact the eligible candidates, then to create a application bank of these eligible candidates, that if engineering type of job is required, they need to prepare, or they prepare the list of eligible engineering candidates, uh, say list of eligible candidates of mechanical engineering, then electronics and telecommunication engineering, civil engineering. So as and when any organization contacts them that they are having any opportunity in the organization for say mechanical engineers, and they need fresh mechanical engineer, immediately they can contact the placement agencies, immediately contact the eligible candidates. They call them for first round of interview at the placement agency. They guide, they groom the candidates, and then they send the candidates to the second round of interview at the organization. So this is called as engaging specialized agency. So instead of the organization organizing the interviews of the candidate, the organization the organization can approach the specialized agencies, which can be placement agencies, and they can take the help of placement agencies for the recruitment. Next one is direct advertisement. Direct advertisement is very simple. The company, with the name of the company and all the details required from a candidate, can be published directly in the newspaper. So not only the name of the job is there, qualification and experience is mentioned, but also the name of the company is also mentioned. So that type of advertisement is called as direct advertisement. Next one, employment exchange. Now, some of you might be aware of this particular concept, which is called as employment exchange. Earlier, this was in practice, but nowadays it is not. So employment exchange. So earlier, the government has introduced this particular scheme of employment exchange. Now, under that, what used to happen to overcome the rate of unemployment, or to give the employment to the educated youth of the state, every state government used to maintain an employment exchange. Now, the functioning of the employment exchange was such that when a student completes his or her SSC examination, SSC examination, then that student has to go and register his name in the employment exchange. Then as and when he completes his HSC or graduation, he has to visit that employment exchange and he has to update his profile. Everything was done physical in nature, nothing was online at that particular time. It was way back after, say, before 20 years back, 20-25 years back. So it was not only for SSC and more student, it was also for other students also who have not completed their SSC, or who are 5th class pass or 6th class pass or 7th class pass. So everyone was given a chance that you can visit the employment exchange, which was run by the state government. You can enter your name, enter your particulars, and in return, the employment exchange office will give you a employment card will be given to you. So as and when there will be opportunity in say government sector or in private sector, then call letter will be given to you. It will reach your residence place, and you will be informed with the help of this call letter that on so and so date, at so and so place, at so and so time, you need to appear for the interview. So that was the functioning before 20-25 years. At that particular time, computers were very few, very less, so nothing was made online. Everything was physical in nature. Physically, we need to submit the documents. The exchange office used to check the document, and then on that basis said that suppose a company wants graduate students, graduate freshers, then all the graduates who have enrolled their names in that exchange, the exchange used to send them interview letters. All 50, 100 letters used to be sent by the exchange office, and they used to appear for the interview. Then what was expected from the student is the student who gets selected, the candidate who gets selected in the job has to report to the exchange again that now I have been selected in the organization, so I should not receive any more call letters now. So his name used to be deleted from that list of candidates who require employment. So this was a practice. So under employment exchange scheme. Next one, campus recruitment. Everyone is aware of what campus recruitment is. It is a recruitment which is done through campus, done through colleges. At the end of the course, graduation, it can be say BCA, BBA, or post graduation, MBA. Generally from third semester, or at the end of third semester, or at the start of fourth semester, generally campus recruitment in the colleges starts. Now, what happens in campus recruitment, everyone is aware of. So still, we will just discuss in brief. Companies are invited by the colleges for recruiting their students. So in the colleges, companies are invited. They visit the colleges. They organize interviews for the students, and the student who cleared the interviews of these companies, they get selected in the company. So that is what happens in campus recruitment. Walk-ins and talk-ins. Walk-ins means that if a company wants certain number of employees immediately. Now in advertisement, what happens in normal advertisement which is published in the newspaper, what happens is that within 7 days, within 10 days, within 15 days, the eligible candidates shall apply to the above mentioned address. So this line is there in the advertisement. Time is given to the candidate that within 5 days, 10 days, 15 days, you have to apply for this position. So after 15 days, again, the company will be taking time to scrutinize the applications which have been received by the company. This happens in normal type of advertisement, which is being published in newspaper or which is being published in various online portals. After that, what happens is that company then decides on say certain date, and the candidates are informed that you are your interview is scheduled on this date. So for this particular say all these arrangements, the company may require say at least a month. So 15 days are given to the candidate to apply for the job, 5 days for scrutiny company takes. Then for arranging the interviews, another 3, 4, 5 days can be taken by the company. So around 20, 25 days or 1 month is taken by the company when they are arranging for interview for a normal advertisement. Now, the difference between normal advertisement and walk-ins is when the company is in immediate need of employees. So instead of giving the normal advertisement, they directly give walk-ins. Walk-ins means you need not apply to the above position. You can directly come for the interview on so and so day. And normally it is on that day itself or after a day when the advertisement is published. So the suppose the advertisement is published on 21st of June. So it is expected that on 22nd of June, the interview will take place. So on 21st of June, the candidate sees the advertisement, he goes through the advertisement, and on 22nd, immediately he is supposed to attend the interview. 23rd, he may get, on the same day, he may get selected also. Now, why everything is so fast? Because the company is in need of employees very urgently. So for on that particular purposes, walk-ins are arranged. Now, talk-ins means very simple concept, which is now being practiced in many companies, particularly in KPOs and BPOs. So talk-ins means arranging the interview telephonically. So when the interview is arranged on telephone, that particular process of recruitment recruitment is called as talk-in. So if the company wants to interview the candidate over telephone itself, now many companies are doing this practice because they want to shortlist the candidate over telephone only. Instead of calling 50 people to the organization and then interviewing them, some of the company think that it is better if we can interview them over telephone and we can shortlist the number, and the shortlisted candidates will only be called for the second round of interview. So when an interview is arranged over telephone or telephonic interviews are called as talk-ins. Next one, labor contractor. So everyone is aware of what is the meaning of labor contractor. As the name itself says, when we talk about labor contractors, the employees who are employed at the lowest level, when these employees are to be recruited for mainly or generally for the purpose which is temporary in nature, for say 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, then instead of giving them direct employment, the company engages the services of labor contractor, and the labor contractor supplies those employees to the organization for a period of say 1 month, 3 months, 4 months, or whatever the company wants. So that is labor contractor. Next one is consultants. Now, when we talk about labor contractor, we know that they will be supplying employees at the lowest level. When we talk about placement agencies, we know that these are the agencies who will be mainly providing freshers, fresh graduate candidates, freshers, MBA fresher, BBA fresher, BCom fresher, BE fresher, B Pharma fresher. So all these type of fresh candidate who have just passed their graduation or post graduation. They are more into supplying these fresh candidates who are not having any experience or who are having very less experience, that is say 6 months, 1 year, or maybe 2 years. And very less they deal into, say, second level of managerial staff. That means the managerial staff which is having more than 5 years of experience. So placement agencies are more into say supplying fresh candidates or fresh graduate candidates to the companies, and they are less into supplying of the candidates who are experienced. Now, when the company is in need of experienced candidate, now the company wants to fill the position of, say, senior manager or HR manager or marketing manager or sales manager or operations manager, who are at the middle level or at the senior level. Now, if the company is in need of such people, one of the option available to the company is that they can approach the consultants. So consultant is a step forward than placement agencies. Now, consultants generally do not deal with fresh candidates. They only deal with candidates who are having, say, more than 10-15 years of experience. So whenever company is in requirement of a experienced person, then they can approach the consultant. So consultants are the specialized or experts who have established their consultancies for supplying the people who are experienced, who are having experience of, say, more than 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years. So these people are called as consultants. Next one, displaced persons. Now, displaced person means because of some government activity or some government project, if a family or if people are displaced from one place and they are shifted to some other place, these people are also given preferences in certain project which will start in the vicinity of that particular area. So these people are called as displaced people. Now, suppose the government decides that on a particular area it will be constructing a dam, and for that construction in that particular area, say 4 or 5 villages are there. So what they will be doing, they will be shifting these villages to some other place. Now these villagers who are shifted from their native place or their place of origin from some other place, when they are shifted from their own place to some other place, they are called as displaced person. So some sort of compensation is given for to them by the government, as well as the government promises them that as and when any government or private project will start in that particular area from where they are shifted, or area from where they are now there, if any project starts, whether it is government or it is private, some sort of quota will be reserved for their recruitment. say 5%, 2%, 1%, what is to be decided by the government, or preference will be given to them if they are eligible for that position. Preference will be given to them for recruitment. So that is displaced person. Next one is acquisition and merger. Now, most of you might be aware of these two particular concepts. One is called as acquisition and the other one is mergers. When one company is acquired by another company, it is called as merger. Generally, it takes place when a large company acquires a small company. We can say it is acquisition. Merger means when two similar type of company who merge into another company, say company A and company B, they decides that instead of competing with each other, it will be better for both the companies if they form a one company, and so that it can be the end of competition. When there will be less competition, they will be able to earn more profit. So company A and company B decides that they will come together and they will form one company only. So that is called as merger. So again, acquisition and merger are one of the source of external recruitment. Now, next one is selection. Selection is the process of differentiating between applicants in order to identify and hire those with a greater likelihood of success in job. So that is the definition of selection. In simple words, selection is a process to select the right candidate from all the candidates who are appearing for the interview process. So selection is selecting the right candidate for the right job is selection. Steps in selection process. There are various steps in selection process that we will be now discussing. First is application bank. So applications are received, applications are scrutinized. So the shortlisted applications are received, and that is the first procedure for the selection process. Under recruitment, applications are received. Under recruitment, applications are scrutinized. The scrutinized application comes to the selection procedure. So that is the first process of selection. So application bank. Next is initial interviews of the candidate. First round of interview generally takes place in the organization. Generally, it is taken up by the HR person in the organization. Next one, employment tests. Many organizations, they organize employment tests also. Many, if we talk about KPOs and BPOs, most of the companies, they organize aptitude test. In that aptitude test, questions related to English, questions related to mathematics, questions related to GK, questions related to logical reasoning are asked, and it is a certain marks are expected to be scored by the candidates. That if the entire test is of 50 marks, the candidate who scores say 30 or 35 marks will be declared as selected for the second round or for the other round or next round of the interview. So the selection criteria or the cutoff marks It depends from organization to organization. Some organization may have their cutoff out of 50, they can keep their cutoff at 40. Some organization out of 50, their cutoff can be 35. Some organization out of 50, their cutoff can be 30 also, or less than that also, or more than 40 also. It depends upon organization to organization. So that happens in employment test. Then interviews. Once employment test is over, then department interview is scheduled of the candidate. So first round, that is the general interview, where family information is being asked, where brief information about the candidate is being asked. So that is taken by the HR person. Now, the after the employment test, the next round of interview is taken by the concerned department where the person will be working. So after that interview, checking of references. Many organizations, they have a policy that they ask the candidate that they need to give some references, at least 2-3 references. References means the people who can guarantee that you are a good person, having a good conduct, good behavior, and you are a good performer too. You are sincere, you are hardworking, you are a good performer. All such type of characteristics you are in possession. So somebody should guarantee that. So that is reference checking. Suppose if the candidate has declared that he is a graduate, or he is a postgraduate, he has done postgraduate graduation from so and so college. Many organizations, under reference checking, what they do is they send mail to the colleges that Mr. So and so, we are say we are to select Mr. So and so. He is claiming that he has completed his post graduation from your college. So please give us approval for that. So if the candidate has completed post graduation from that college, it is expected that that college will revert to the company that yes, this particular candidate has completed his post graduation from our college, and on uh, this was his batch, and this was the year of passing. So everything is cross checked. If everything is correct, then only the candidate is finally selected by the organization. So that is checking of references. If say another some phone numbers are there, previous employer's number is there, then that person can be contacted and it can be checked whether the candidate is having a good conduct or good behavior or not. So all these checks can be made under reference checks. Next one, physical or medical examination. So it is not required for each and every job. For some job, yes, of course, it is required. If the job demands that the physical and medical examination should take place, then only it takes place. Otherwise, for most of the job, this particular physical and medical examination is not required. If we are working in IT industry, or in KPO or BPO industry, or in service industry, or in e-commerce industry, this physical or medical examination is not required. Next one, final interview and induction. So next procedure. So this steps in selection procedure, these are general steps. We cannot say that each and every organization has to follow this sequence only. It depends upon organization to organization, but these are the general steps which are followed by most of the organizations. Next, final interview and induction. So final interview, once medical and physical check is there, if at all it is required by the organization, once it is done, then final interview can be scheduled of the candidate. If he clears the final interview, then induction takes place, and finally the person is selected by the organization. Next one. Now, barriers to effective selection. There are certain hurdles or barriers for effective selections. Now, first one is perception, fairness, validity, and pressure. So, perception. Now, here we will be discussing about the barriers of effective selection. That because of these barriers, the company find it difficult to select the right candidate. First one, perception. Now, perception means when a person develops certain image in his mind about the person, that is called as perception about that particular person. Now, how perception can be a barrier to the effective interview process, selection process, that we will be discussing now. Now, suppose an interview is scheduled in the company and a candidate appears for the interview. Now, that particular candidate is well dressed. He is formally well dressed. His shoes are polished, hair properly combed, tie is proper, everything is proper. He is having a very good personality. When he enters the room, he has all the manners and etiquettes. That means he asks for the permission when he enters the room for interview. He asks for the permission, may I sit? When he reaches the interview table, he sits properly. So his personality wise, the perception which the interview viewer gets about him is that his first impression is very good impression. And there is a saying that first impression is last impression. Sometimes it is true also, not always, but sometimes it is true. Now, if the interviewer gets impressed with his personality, the way he is taking permission, the way he is behaving before the start of the interview, he develops a thinking about him that he may be the right candidate. What he has started thinking, the interviewer has started thinking before the start of the interview, he may be the right candidate for this particular job. So first impression is he is a good candidate. He is a good candidate. And when the interview starts, if the candidate is unable, suppose 6 questions are asked to the interviewee by the interviewer. Now the candidate is unable to answer 2 questions out of 6 questions, but still, because the candidate is very fluent in English, because the candidate is having a very good personality, the interviewer is having a perception that he can be the best candidate for the organization. And because of this perception which he has developed about the candidate, because of his personality, because of his very good communication skills, he is trying to slightly overlook his potential or his intelligence part. This, because of this perception, major part is being covered by his personality and communication. So the personality and communication of the candidate has overpowered his intelligence. So he is not so intelligent, but still the interviewer has developed a perception that he is a good candidate because of his good behavior, because of his good communication skills. So being humans, or as we all are humans, we are not machines. So it is very difficult for a human being to always be very impartial or very, say, practical. As human beings, we often get carried away because of feelings, because of emotions, and because of many other things which are taking place in our mind, in our heart. So we often get carried away, and because of that, some decisions can be taken place. But that doesn't happen with a machine, because machine doesn't have emotions, machine doesn't have feelings. So as first interview is being conducted by the HR person, who is a human being, he may get carried away because of the personality, because of the communication skills of the person, and that is why it is said there are certain barriers. So one of the barrier is perception. Next one is fairness. Fairness means that all the candidate should be given a fair, everything should be fair for all the candidates. It should not happen that out of the 10 candidates, 6 candidates were asked very tough questions which were not related to the job also, whereas the 4 other candidates were asked very general type of questions or very easier type of questions. So we cannot say that this interview or the pattern of interview or questions which are being asked in the interview are fair, or the entire process is fair. Fair means equal chance should be given, equal opportunity should be given to all the candidates who have come for the interview. Then only it will be fair. On the basis of talent only the person should be selected, then only we can say that it is fair. So fair chance should be given to all. Similar type of, we are not saying that every candidate should be asked the same question, but similar type of question, similar difficulty level of question should be asked to the candidates. So fair chance should be given to all the candidates for selection. So that is validity. Now validity means that the tests which are being conducted, first it should be seen whether the tests are valid for this particular position or not, whether the questions which are being asked in the tests are having any relations with the job or not, whether one particular test can be applied for 3 different positions or not. Now there are some organizations which have developed a test and they are using that same test for, say, 2-3 positions. For the position of the executive interview, same test is being taken up. For the other position of interview, say for the position of junior managers also, same test is being conducted. So there are some organizations which are using one same test for 3-4 positions. So if such thing is taking place in the organization, we can say that the tests are not valid in nature. There is a question mark on the validity of the tests. So again, this is one of the barrier to the selection. Last one is pressure. Now, pressure means whose pressure? Pressure of the higher authority. Sometimes it may happen that the organization is having a policy that only right type of person should be selected. They are having a policy, only meritorious candidate shall be selected. And that policy is there with the HR person who is organizing the interview. The tests are being verified, they are checked, and all the tests fit with the particular position. So they are valid in nature. The policies are very much fair in the organization. They are transparent in nature. So everything is there on paper in the organization. But when it comes to the final selection, a call is made to the HR manager by the general manager or a senior position or a senior person in the organization that please see to it that this particular candidate is selected in the organization. So that is called as pressure. Now that particular senior person or the general manager who is not aware how that particular candidate has performed in the interview, how he has performed in the various tests. So in various rounds of interview, how the candidate has performed, they are not aware of. But finally, they want that that particular candidate is to be selected. And if that candidate is not a meritorious candidate, if that candidate is not very talented candidate, if it is proven that that candidate is not the right candidate for that particular job, still because of pressure, if that candidate is selected by the organization, that is called as pressure. The HR person who has to report to the general manager or that particular senior person, as he has to work in the organization, he cannot disobey the orders of his superior. So unnecessarily, it is unnecessarily, if someone is pressurizing the interviewer or the person who is conducting the test to select a wrong candidate because that candidate is close to them, then we can say that it is pressure tactics which is being applied in the organization, which is wrong, which is always wrong for the health of the organization. And this is one of the barrier to the effective selection. So these are some of the barriers which are to be removed. Then only the organization can have effective selection. Now, first we have talked about the perception. So the interviewer should be intelligent enough that he should not frame within seconds whether the candidate is a great candidate or not. How you can imagine that this particular candidate, okay, the candidate is very good looking, the candidate is handsome, the candidate is beautiful, the candidate is properly dressed, the candidate is very good in English, the candidate is behaving properly. So only on that basis you cannot select the candidate, and only on that basis the candidate cannot be called as a right candidate. Whether the candidate is having required skills which shall match with the skills of the job, that is to be checked. If it matches, then the candidate is the right candidate, otherwise the candidate is not the right candidate. So such type of perception should not be developed in the minds of the interviewer. If it develops, then it is a barrier. So these barriers are to be removed first, then only the organization can expect right candidate for the right jobs. Now, next one is difference between induction and orientation, that we had already discussed, that what is induction and what is orientation. We will just I'll just read out what is induction and what is orientation. Induction is a process takes place to welcome newcomer to the organization, to make them ready for their job. So when the newcomers, newly recruited employees are employed in the organization, before the start of their work, they are welcomed by the higher authorities of the organization, and that particular process is called as induction process. Under orientation, a process which involves assimilation of new joinee into an organization to rehabilitate him at the workplace and provide him with basic information about the company. So in induction, welcoming is there, general information about the company is shared, whereas in induction, the information related to job is shared with the employee. Induction of the employee, introduction of the employee with the organization, that takes place, that we have just discussed in the induction process. Whereas integration of employees in the organization, integration of employee in the organization means you will be working in this particular department as this, you are supposed to, these will be your role and responsibilities. So in brief, everything is shared about the job. In the orientation program, in induction, general information about the company is being shared with the newcomer, where the induction is short term in nature, whereas orientation is long term in nature. Induction takes place first, then it is followed by orientation. So it is mentioned here, induction is first and second is orientation. Detailed presentation of brochure of the company, rules, policies, and employee benefit is provided under induction. So everything, every information, general information about the company is being shared in the induction program. Whereas in orientation, practical overview of the organization is shared with the employee. So this was the difference between induction and orientation. Now, as we are nearing end of our time for the session, so we will stop here. Tomorrow again we will be meeting at the same time, that is 6 a.m. So before, yes, so tomorrow we will be taking up new topic. So thank you all for joining today's session. We will meet tomorrow at 6 a.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.